A blistering hot Saturday afternoon in Springdale, Arkansas sets the scene for the final day of the 2025 Outrigger Challenge Cup. We say hello and welcome to Jarrell Williams Bulldog Stadium as the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation contests match day number 2 in their very young but already quite proud history. And hello everyone, good afternoon, at least here in Central Time Zone in the United States, alongside Carter Henson. Ben Curtis, so glad to be with you wherever it is and whenever it is that you might be watching. Carter, it was quite the scene on Thursday night as the Marshall Islands played their first ever match as a national team, a 4-0 loss to the U.S. Virgin Islands, in which I thought they acquitted themselves quite well, considering this group met for the first time only about a week ago when there were players on this roster who are playing their first ever 11-a-side matches.
Yeah, been inspirational. Is really, I walked away Thursday night and I felt inspired by what transpired. A 4-0 loss, and we talked about it. We didn't care that much that it was a 4-0 loss. There were some flashes of really good play, a ball that hit the post, that there were very multiple opportunities for the Marshall Islands to score on Thursday night. It didn't happen, but we look towards today, and I think it's very well a possibility.
Let's look at Turks and Caicos a little bit before we step aside. Before the game, Turks and Caicos with a 1-1 draw on opening day against the U.S. Virgin Islands. They fall in that all-important head-to-head tiebreaker. USVI will talk about a bit more when they play the Ozark United U19s later. They have already clinched the trophy of this competition. Another 3-3 draw in a wild match against the Ozark United U19s earlier on. They came back from 2-0 down to lead 3-2, gave up a late goal to equalize, and then they ended up winning that penalty shootout as well. Junior Paul has been tremendous for them, though. He's tied for the goal boot lead with 3.
Yeah, always in the right spot, always near the goal, and Turks and Caicos, a team that they absorb a lot of pressure. They hit very quick on the counterattack, and Junior Paul has been the recipient of 3 of those goals.
Yeah, you mentioned that Aaron Lawrence, the head coach for Turks and Caicos, seems to have a very solid game plan. He's going to want to let his team absorb the pressure and then hit on the counter, and it's been effective.
Yeah, it absolutely has, and you wonder how that will play into the Marshall Islands game plan. You know, they've had to have a very different game plan for the United States Virgin Islands on Thursday night, as USVI and Turks and Caicos, two very, very different teams tactically. So I'm very interested to see what Lloyd Owers has cooked up in the 48 hours, or not quite that, since that game on Thursday evening, and we'll see how they respond.
Yeah, it should be a really interesting game, at least from the tactical side of things, because as Carter mentioned, Turks and Caicos and USVI, very different tactics. USVI really wants to try to widen the game as much as possible. They let Joshua Ramos have all the space that he wanted on the outside, and Ramos was a big reason why USVI got that 4-0 decision over the Marshall Islands earlier on this week. A Rakeem Joseph hat trick let the number 9 for USVI be named the player of the match, but it really was Joshua Ramos pulling the strings for so many reasons for the U.S. Virgin Islands to get them that victory by the score of 4-0. But that night was really all about the first for just about everything for the Marshall Islands. The first time they heard their national anthem, the first walkout, the very first time kicking a ball on this field after nearly 3 years of work from so many people within the back rooms of the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation to get this competition on the move. And the 2025 Outrigger Challenge Cup has just been an absolutely phenomenal success. We want to give you the starting lineups for both of these two teams. For the Turks and Caicos Islands, Sebastian Turbyfield will be back in between the sticks for Turks and Caicos. He was excellent against the U.S. Virgin Islands on Wednesday, and then it was his backup, Wesley Joseph, who was able to get, his backup, it was a different backup, I should say, Samuel Harvey, who was able to get the start on Thursday. But it is Turbyfield who is back in between the sticks for TNC here this afternoon. Keniel Clervil will get the start, as well Anios Jean. Ledson Jerome took a big penalty in that match against USVI. He had that penalty that really helped get Turks and Caicos back into the mix in that penalty shootout, but they did fall by the score of 5-3 from the spot. Christopher Louisy missed the penalty back on Wednesday, but he'll have an opportunity to redeem himself here today. Mackenson Cadet, the captain of the team, gets the start. He'll be in that center of the park helping to pull the strings. Emmanuel Martin, Jeff Beljour, Kendly Telusma, Hency Gedeon, and Junior Paul all get these starts as well. And we've talked already about Junior Paul being such an instrumental part of what Turks and Caicos will look to do, at least from the attacking phase of the game. He gets himself in a lot of right areas and can make things happen. And when he does, the Marshall Islands defense is going to have to be ready. Speaking of the Marshall Islands, their starting 11, Matt Perrella will be back in between the sticks in net for the Marshall Islands, the 33-year-old born in New Jersey, the former Rider University player in Division I NCAA play here in the United States. I should say. The back line will consist of Patrick Phelon. Matt Webb will get the start, the volunteer director of commercial and marketing at Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. He will get an opportunity to start. He briefly appeared for the Marshall Islands last night. Josiah Blanton was one of the big standouts defensively for Marshall Islands. The James Madison University product will get the start in the back line again. Seth Sidle, the captain, will get the start as well along that right flank. He made some things happen as a wingback. Gladius Edejer, the 17-year-old, will get the start as well. Zach Hill, 22 years of age, will get the nod for the Marshall Islands in the midfield. Folliet Schutz, the 23-year-old who has been playing soccer for 18 years, will do so as well. Vinay Kumar, 18 years of age, born in Nigro, moved to the U.S. age 4, on his way to Williams Baptist University. He will get the nod to the midfield as well, with Aaron Anitok, who just celebrated his 18th birthday on Thursday night, up top, along with Dave Nigro, who really impressed in that opening match. The 30-year-old former 4-year starter at Monmouth University, who is currently with Jackson Lions FC and the most capped player all time for that club. So it is a starting lineup that is largely the same for Marshall Islands as to what they were back on Thursday night. Some of the key players, including Blanton and Nigro and Anitok, back in the mix. Vinay Kumar really impressed as well coming off the bench. This is a relatively deep Marshall Islands squad in terms of how many players they have brought. They were able to get just about everybody on the field last time out against U.S. Virgin Islands. No Lucas Shriver to start things off. It looked like he picked up just a little bit of a knock on the match against USVI on Thursday, so hopefully we do see Shriver at some point in the match. No Cohen Taranga to start things off either for the Marshall Islands. He will hopefully get an opportunity to play as well. Two additions to the substitutions bench, Zealand Shannon and Justin Wally, will also be named to the matchday squad, although not in the starting 11. We will also expect to see Matt John come off the bench to play up top for the Marshall Islands at some point. He certainly looked dangerous in his chances earlier on this week. And as Carter mentioned, the Marshall Islands came pretty close a couple of times to scoring their first ever goal. They had an opportunity only 30 seconds into the second half. They hit the post. And from there, the USVI was able to see out the rest of the victory. USVI hit Marshall Islands less than 3 minutes in. A Rakeem Joseph goal on a beautifully weighted free kick towards the back post, and Joseph with a looping header back across the face of goal to beat Perrella, and it was 1-0 less than 3 minutes in. A penalty just before halftime. Rakeem Joseph stepped up and was able to take it successfully to make sure that it was 2-0 going into halftime. Then, in about the 60th minute or so, a third goal for Rakeem Joseph got the USVI that 3-0 lead, and that really felt like it was just about that. And another lovely play from Joshua Ramos late on in the match to set up the substitute, Gabriel Catone Highfield, and he was the one to make it 4-0 for USVI. But reset all of the scoreboard. It is scoreless as we are ready to go just about for the national anthems and the walkout between Turks and Caicos and the Marshall Islands. We will leave you with some of the sights and the sounds. An anthem a long time in the making to play here at Jarrell Williams Bulldog Stadium as the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation gets set to contest its second ever match against, this time, the Turks and Caicos Islands after a 4-0 defeat at the hands of the U.S. Virgin Islands earlier on this week. A chance for the Marshallese to go again. It will be the Marshall Islands wearing those whiter kits with the orange-looking socks and the black shorts. For Turks and Caicos, it will be in those beautiful gold kits that we've gotten the opportunity to see all week long. In case you're tuning into the Outrigger Challenge Cup for the first time, do want to let you know that the Turks and Caicos kits will not have numbers on them, an issue completely at the fault of the airline that the Turks and Caicos Islands took in order to get to Springdale, Arkansas. Certainly nothing having to do with anything on the logistical side of things from the Turks and Caicos Islands Federation themselves, but because of the unfortunate situation caused by the airline that the Turks and Caicos Islands used to get here to Northwest Arkansas, we will not have kit numbers for you. What we can tell you, though, as we mentioned, Sebastian Turbyfield is getting the start in net, and Junior Paul, who is in a golden boot race, as we already mentioned in the pregame, will be available for selection as well. For the Marshallese, an opportunity to make a couple more firsts. They were able to get just about all of those firsts out of the way on Thursday night in front of a tremendous crowd, and now a chance to get perhaps your first goal, to get your first assist, to get perhaps a first result if they can. And Lloyd Owers, the head coach of the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation, who has done so much behind the scenes, will hope to see a historic day yet again for the Marshall Islands. Reminder, stick around for our 4 p.m. game. This is just day one of a doubleheader, or game one of a doubleheader, I should say. It will be the U.S. Virgin Islands against the Ozark United U19s at 4 p.m. local time. That is Central Time here in Arkansas. So calculate wherever you might be to make sure that you are tuned in for that one as well. It should be a really interesting match between two teams that really like to run in the U.S. Virgin Islands and the Ozark United U19s. But in the here and now, a huge opportunity for the Marshall Islands to contest yet another international match. It'll be the Marshallese who will be moving from left to right across your screen as you'll view it, and Turks and Caicos will be moving from right to left. We talked about this, Carter, in the first few minutes of the game against USVI, but it seems like the first 10 minutes in this match are going to be absolutely critical, especially after just 3 minutes in the last time out Marshallese conceded.
Yeah, and it was almost a just miraculous header from USVI that found the back of the net that put the Marshallese on the back foot. It was just a really picture-perfect beat-the-keeper header into the back corner. So as long as the Marshallese can really control the first 10 minutes, it's going to be critical.
Talked about Matt Perrella a little bit in a match against USVI. The keeper was absolutely tremendous for the Marshall Islands. You know he's going to be busy again today, and he is going to need another excellent performance here this afternoon. It will be the Marshall Islands who will kick off first. Standing over the ball is Zach Hill, and we are just about ready for action between the Marshall Islands and Turks and Caicos here on a Saturday afternoon at Springdale High School here in Northwest Arkansas. The beautiful away kits on display for the first time.
They look so good. The white with those blue stripes, the lighter blue stripes that rounded off the orange socks. Those are some great kits.
And we are underway between the Marshall Islands and Turks and Caicos. Opportunity for Turks and Caicos to pick up their first win of this Outrigger Challenge Cup, at least over the course of 90 minutes. A penalty shootout victory last time out for them on Thursday evening. And already a stoppage here, only seconds in. I think that there is a second ball that was on the field, so Sebastian Turbyfield will actually put that one in play, and they'll get rid of the other ball. So a little bit of a stop and start to begin the first 40 seconds of this final day of the Outrigger Challenge Cup. It has been a tremendous week of soccer, a Herculean effort from so many people just to put on this competition, between the lodging and the food and the logistics of getting to the stadium. Amir St. Clair's been in charge of all of that. I got a chance to see Amir's cheat sheet earlier on today that has all of the lodging, all of the food, all the transportation. I didn't understand a word of it. He had all of it ready to go, and it's been so many people who've done so much to make this happen and allow us to talk about some soccer as Turks and Caicos and the Marshall Islands both look for their first victory of the Outrigger Challenge Cup. That's a lovely touch to get it to Zach Hill from Seth Sidle, the captain, recently named earlier on this week for the Marshall Islands.
And Ben, I am very impressed with the contingency of fans here today. It is hot.
It is.
Hot here in Springdale. And those metal bleachers, are also very, very warm.
Lovely move from the Turks and Caicos to slalom around 3 or 4 defenders and have the Marshall Islands tracking back. There is Josiah Blanton, as he so often was against the U.S. Virgin Islands, to get it to Seth Sidle, as we said, wearing the captain's armband. Seth, a number of players who have a player sponsor for the Marshall Islands. That's Adam Cole, and Parkio also sponsoring that captain's armband. So we thank those who have so selflessly given to help be a part of this soccer federation. And it's such an honor for Seth to be named the very first ever captain of the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. That armband will be passed from player to player, from generation to generation, but there will only ever be one first. And a huge honor for Seth, birth family from Nigro, born in Hawaii, raised in Pennsylvania. Here is Dave Nigro standing over the ball. Pretty similar looking set piece to how the USVI scored on this same side of the field at just about the same time. It's a good looking ball whipped in. Second ball falls right to the edge of the 18. Didn't get the clean purchase on it that time. I think it was Vinay Kumar who that ball fell to, but an encouraging start for the Marshall Islands on a dangerous looking set piece. Nigro had that whip on that ball put very well.
It had a perfect bend to it. I thought Josiah Blanton was going to get to it. Just very, very close.
So a really encouraging start for the Marshallese. Turks and Caicos have found that if they can break this relatively high Marshall Islands press, they can have some success, especially down that left channel where they have tried to go all week long. It has really been a tilted field for the Turks and Caicos side, but they have found so much success going down this left side, kind of a case of if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, Turks and Caicos are so dangerous on the counter, and I firmly expect we'll see them just stick to that tactically today.
Kind of a case in which neither team necessarily wants the ball the majority of the game, which could make for an interesting tactical battle. Both teams have shown a willingness to sit back, let the opposition come at them, and then hit them quickly. Lovely play to get that one to stay in between the lines. Again, we're using the gray lines outside of the football-looking sidelines in this beautiful turf field here at Springdale High School, but a turf field in which it will feel even hotter than it is. About 90 degrees Fahrenheit at kickoff, and it'll add about 10 to 15 degrees at turf level. Aaron Anitok battling for it, Turks and Caicos winning it out. Talked about those tight areas that some of the Marshall Islands former futsal players might have a bit of success navigating, given the parameters of a futsal field being so much smaller, of course. Some of these Marshall Islands players very used to working in really tight quarters.
Yeah, a few of them did play in the futsal tournament that they had last year in Majuro. The 2024 edition of the Outrigger Challenge Cup was a futsal competition.
It feels a little different this year, though.
Yeah,
it feels
much different.
The culmination of nearly 3 years of work. Lloyd Ower is able to duck out of the way of that one. Quick reflexes from Lloyd, who has just been across so much of what the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation has done the past couple of years. Matt Perrella going to boot it long down the left side. He's got Matt Webb charging forward towards the edge of the 18, tried to cut it back, and that was sliced off the outside of his boot for a goal kick. Matt Webb's played for various clubs in the southwest of England, including the University of Exeter. He has been awfully busy, not only on the field, but off the field as well this week. He's been one of the people in charge of all the logistics, as well as being the left back of this team. Again, down the left side go the Marshallese, or rather the Turks and Caicos Islands player, should say. Offside flag will go up. That's a clever play that time. I believe that was Gladius Edejer who stepped forward right as the pass was about to be delivered to make sure that that offside line went a little bit higher up. It's So Edejer will play catch with Perrella. You could argue that these are the goalies who have looked the best in this Outrigger Challenge Cup. Perrella and Turbyfield on either side have both made some spectacular saves this week.
Yeah, Turbyfield, I think I used the word otherworldly performance against the U.S. Virgin Islands, as he made 2 saves that were just very, very difficult. That game should have ended 3-1. Should have ended 3-1 to USVI, and Turbyfield made it not so.
Another good step up from Blanton, but in the end, Turks and Caicos with the through ball. Perrella nearly lost his footing a couple times. In case this is your first time tuning in for the week, reminder that this turf field might be a little bit more slippery. And referee, I think, has to adjust a bit of the goalkeeper kit that Matt Perrella is wearing.
I think Matt left his necklace on and didn't realize the official helping him remove it for the remainder of the game.
There are some beautiful Marshallese necklaces that have been given out. I got the chance to get my hands on one.
Oh, did you?
I did. That was just kind of me lingering around the team HQ and just kind of dropping hints that they looked really nice until finally someone was like, hey, here you go. Dave Nigro able to get his body in the way, and he'll pick it up. Again, working in those very, very tight quarters. Former Monmouth University Hawk. In the end, back to Turks and Caicos it goes, direct down the center of the park. Hold-up play going to be incredibly important for Turks and Caicos. When they get that ball just entering the attacking third, to be able to retain possession until you can get numbers forward. It's a critical part of the counterattack that TNC is going to try to build this week.
That's a lovely ball. Oh, offside.
Just going a little bit too early, but you can really see what Aaron Lawrence's game plan is. Even against a side playing just its second ever match. And that's a real vote of confidence in the tactical plan for Aaron Lawrence for the Turks and Caicos Islands to say, hey, look, we know what kind of style we're going to play, and we're not going to make our opponent adjust our style. We're going to dictate what kind of style we want this match to be played by. That's a real good sign for a coach continuing to build up this national program.
And there's never been any question about what they try to do. Very tactically black and white.
So it'll be up to either team to make the little tweaks within the game. Oh, nearly a turnover. It is a turnover, and the Marshallese could be away. Opportunity, a little move towards the left side, saved by Turbyfield, and it's cleared away. What a chance for Folliet Schutz for the Marshall Islands. Nearly 9 minutes gone by. They've had 2 golden opportunities.
And Turbyfield appeared to be beat. He recovered and was able to clear that one away. I mean, that was as good of a chance as the Marshallese have seen.
Long throw-in to cause more danger. It goes back and out of play, and we'll do it again. The Marshall Islands hit a post just after halftime last match. Already a couple of great opportunities here. That was in the direction of Blanton. Never got all the way to him. Nigro's pass didn't have enough on it, but he steps back up. Dave Nigro past one defender, skipping around a second, cut back in towards Blanton. It'll fall kindly towards the edge of the 18-yard box. Bit of a high hop off of that turf. Hooked forward by Hill, and it will fall into the hands of Turbyfield. Marshall Islands have been the better team in the first 10 minutes.
And I like that they're throwing Josiah Blanton into this attack. One of the tallest players on the pitch for the Marshallese, able to throw himself forward and give them a little bit more just height to try and get to the ball in the box. But again, against a counter-attacking team such as Turks and Caicos, could be a little bit dangerous.
Josiah Blanton, at least on his college profile, James Madison listed at 6'1". Physical, impending, imposing presence. Perrella has to go out of his net to play it with his feet. All of this just having to build up the confidence of the Marshall Islands. Best scoring opportunities of the day have come from the team wearing white. Lloyd Ower's bunch. There was, when just kind of going around the Marshall Islands camp the day or two before the first ever match, very serious, very focused on what the mission was and what that first match meant. I believe that went over the end line. It will be a goal kick. The mood ever since they got that first match out of the way has been a lot lighter. there's been a lot more joking around. It's still a very serious operation. They still are extremely focused, but it seems as if a weight has been lifted off of this Marshall Islands squad just a little bit.
And I think if they see that ball hit the back of the net just once, it'll be a further weight taken off the shoulders.
Everyone wanting to be the one to etch themselves into history for this group that has already done that and then some. Patrick Phelon moving it along towards the right side. That's a lovely little move by Seth Sidle. And a clever pass with the outside of his boot to the overlapping run of Schutz. Schutz will cut it towards the near post, and Turbyfield stayed home to make the catch. You would never know that this group, from the first 12 minutes, all met each other for the first time 8 days ago. And some who are playing their first ever 11-a-side matches.
I mean, they're really linking up really well. The build-up play has been excellent so far here in this first, now in the 13th minute. Just have not been able to get that final touch in the box.
Clever diagonal run from right to left for Turks and Caicos. Blanton shielding off the attacker until Perrella could come up and scoop it up. Perrella will be very aggressive off of his line as he was against U.S. Virgin Islands. A little bit of pressure put on by the attacker, so he has to get out of his feet, and he does. Clever turn by Anitok. Down the right side in the direction of Sidle, who has really been putting the pressure on that Turks and Caicos left back. It's a front three, essentially, now of Kumar, Zach Hill, and Anitok, with Nigro in the center of the park pulling the strings, and Schutz a big part of it as well. Here's back for Anitok. With space to operate, trying to pick out a run. It's a lovely run in towards the penalty area, and Turbyfield comes off of his line to scoop it up. A thumbs up back in the direction of Anitok, who clipped that ball in so delicately. And the first touch just let the Marshallese down. But again, they are getting closer.
That was an excellent run, an excellent chip over the top. Just the touch a tiny bit too heavy, but the Marshall Islands, they look creative, Ben. They're looking very good in attack.
It was Schutz again who's been in the center of a lot of it. He has looked very solid so far. Currently a senior at UH Hilo. Another one of those former futsal players, where ball control is really, really important. This long throw could be a weapon for the Marshallese as well. Goes into the penalty area, flicked on the direction of Schutz. Schutz able to turn. Schutz couldn't quite keep his footing. The balance just ever so slightly off. Back into the mixer it goes. Turbyfield will have to push it back onto the bar. That is still a live ball. I think he actually might have pushed it onto the goalpost.
They say it's a goal kick.
I think it went goalpost, then
Okay.
Turbyfield's hand, then back onto the bar.
So perhaps not quite as dangerous as it looked up here.
Yeah, that football goalpost is out of play. It looks very similar to us, like it is the crossbar. One's right on top of the other. That's a lovely switch of play over towards the left, and an excellent first touch to send Turks and Caicos on the run. Work to do for Perrella near post, and Turks and Caicos in the 15th minute grabs the lead. It's 1-0. A beautifully worked counterattack just according to plan for the team in gold. And after 15, it's 1-0 Turks and Caicos.
I mean, we have said it again and again. Just a counter-attacking soccer is what Turks and Caicos plays. They are so good on the counter. They are so fast on the wings. We saw it right there, and it's 1-0.
That's nearly identical to what Turks and Caicos did against U.S. Virgin Islands in the same minute, the 15th minute, against the run of play. And after it was the Marshallese who had all of the opportunities early on, it is Turks and Caicos who grabs the lead. Keniel Clervil with the goal for Turks and Caicos. And now there's a TNC player down back behind the play. Lying down on his back and getting a bit of attention from the physios, which will allow us just kind of a moment to take stock. Just breathe for a moment and kind of reset after a frantic first 15.
Yeah, the question I'm interested in is how high can the Marshallese keep pressing, especially how hot it is, how quick the Turks and Caicos are. Like, how long can they keep this high press up? And again, hurt a little bit by the speed on the left wing from Turks and Caicos there that ends up in a goal.
We also do want to remind you that that goal is brought to you by our sponsor, Be Hydrogen, the future of hydration. They've been wonderful partners of the Outrigger Challenge Cup all week long. Thankfully, that Turks and Caicos player is back up to his feet. And hopefully nothing too serious for TNC, who have taken the lead through Clervil. 15 minutes gone by. And after it was undoubtedly the Marshall Islands who had more opportunities, it's Clervil who is more of a defender by trade, getting forward and able to make something happen for Turks and Caicos. Player who has only made a couple of starts in his international career, at least coming into this Outrigger Challenge Cup this week. But has looked really, really solid in the back and has been going forward as well, of course. Did play in that FIFA World Cup qualifying match in which Turks and Caicos lost in penalties. Both of the FIFA nations in this competition lost in penalties in their World Cup qualifying play-in match. US Virgin Islands to the British Virgin Islands. They fell. And we do know that it is USVI who will take home this trophy, but pride still extremely very much on the line for this Turks and Caicos squad. Another lovely little 1-2 pass along the left flank. Unable to get there was Edejer, and it will go out for a goal kick. Good defending in the end from Gladius just to make Edejer just to make the Turks and Caicos attacker change the angle.
Yeah, it was a really good tackle from him. Got in front of it, kicked it back into the attacker, and out for a goal kick. Really, really good defending.
Turks and Caicos able to read that pass well. Schutz was the intended target. He still got a challenge in to force the switch of play over towards the left. Lovely ball floated just over the head of the intended target towards the back post. And a thumbs up back behind the play to indicate that that was the right idea. This game settling down a little bit after a frenetic start, a very fast-paced start. Turks and Caicos have started to dominate the possession a little bit more. They have dictated the play a bit better ever since we hit about the 12-minute, 13-minute mark or so in that glorious opportunity for Schutz.
Yeah, as we talked about, they absorbed about 10 minutes worth of pressure from the Marshall Islands, and a quick hit on the counterattack, just as they do.
Headed on, and it will just go out of play. Kumar couldn't quite keep it in between the lines. Would normally say in between the white lines, but I suppose it's really the gray lines now. So if you're the Marshallese, how do you get back to where you started the match in the first 10 minutes or so? That high line has dropped a little bit further back.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see what Lloyd Owers cooks up here to kind of will them back into this.
Oh, that's not the pass that Marshall Islands had in mind. And Turks and Caicos could be away. In the end, Perrella's able to corral it. Didn't quite hit it cleanly at goal, but again, the issues finding the footing nearly haunting the Marshall Islands here.
Yeah, Josiah Blanton put enough pressure on to not allow the player to get a super clean touch on that to shoot.
And Blanton was fouled. Dave Nigro gets the ball back across midfield. Long run trying to pick out the intended target of Kumar. Little tug of the jersey, but referee allows play to continue. Lloyd Owers huddle up with his technical staff over there on the right side of the bench area. trying to make the necessary adjustments to get his side back to where they were starting the match. That press has gotten a little bit higher as we say that, but that will leave room to operate as advantage is played. Blanton with another good step up as the ball directed right back towards him, and so all the way back it goes. Immediate response from that high line of the Marshall Islands winning possession back though. Again, Perrella looking left. Blanton back into the center of the park. Along towards the left side it goes. Kumar. Making the run was Anitok. He'll chest it down. Couple of players there in support for the Marshall Islands, and it's just booted away. Into the bleachers on the far side, and the Marshall Islands will be able to step up again. This is a little bit better of a spell after the goal.
Yeah, they're
the Marshallese.
Holding possession a little bit more here, and they're completing some passes, making a little bit of progress forward. Love to see them try to work this ball into the box again.
Clipped along towards the right side. Here is Sidle. Sidle will chest it down back onto his left foot, and the captain is just dispossessed right before he was able to get the ball in. Phelon rather just couldn't quite keep it in between the lines, and it will go out for a Turks and Caicos throw.
I love that from Sidle, though. Really good job to time his run, stay on side, and gave them an opportunity.
That is an onside run for Turks and Caicos, and away they go down the left side. An opportunity to make it two, and they will do just that. Another picture-perfect counterattack for Turks and Caicos, and they double their lead in the 24th minute.
It's like watching a movie that you know how it ends. Just Turks and Caicos, you know what they're going to do. They run that counterattack up the left side, and they are just so fast on the counter. Almost looked like a replay of the first goal. It's 2-0.
Another goal brought to you by B Hydrogen, transformation of your hydration routine. And although it has been the Marshall Islands who, from the word go, have been the team with more possession, the team with more possession in the attacking third, it has been two beautifully worked Turks and Caicos counterattacks. And it is 2-0 in favor of the team in gold. That ball looked like it went out of play, and it did. Has to be so frustrating for the Marshallese to know that you've been arguably the better side, certainly the side who's been playing in their attacking half more, but you look up at the scoreboard and you're down two because of just a couple of really well-worked counterattacks.
And they've made multiple good runs. They've had multiple good passes and through balls into the box, but they just have not been able to find the soft first touch to give themselves a good shot.
See if the Marshall Islands will opt just for a little spell of possession here, regardless of the territory. They will now clip it long. Zach Hill making the long run. Lovely little touch to settle it back down and get it out wide again for Sidle. Just couldn't quite link up with Zach Hill, who was making the run in support. Turks Caicos haven't had all that much possession, especially on this side of the field, because they do get it up so quickly. Hasn't really allowed that high line of the Marshall Islands to do much running. Zach Hill has been trying to put the pressure on as that number 9 the furthest forward. Sidle read the 1-2 very well, was able to take it back, and then he was fouled, which is why he didn't get enough on it to get it back to the back line. So it will be a free kick here for the Marshall Islands in the attacking half.
This is where they did create a decent chance earlier. Let's see if Nigro can whip another ball in here.
That first opportunity, about 3 minutes in, was maybe 5 or so yards further. The Turks and Caicos player standing right over the ball, who now is going to have to take a couple of paces back. See what Nigro can whip up here. He will instead square it back for Edejer. A little bit of possession here for the Marshallese. Phelon, nice turn. Pat Phelon able to open up a little bit of space. Blanton laying it off along the left. Back it goes. Josiah Blanton could be in. A moment of Marshallese magic. At long last, a goal for the Marshall Islands. A goal for all the Marshall Islands. And it's 2-1 in the 27th minute. An impossibility less than 3 years ago to play a match. And now it's 2-1.
And every single person in a Marshallese kit, every single coach joins the dog pile in that corner of the pitch. A great ball in, a great run from Josiah Blanton, and he tucks it home. And he etches himself into soccer history for the Marshall Islands. Well done, Josiah Blanton.
A goal brought to you by B Hydrogen, the future of hydration. A goal that will live forever in the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. A memory from Nigro to the miles onwards and all around the world. A moment that seemed impossible for so long. The latest in a series of moments that seemed impossible for so long. That first national anthem, that first kickoff, that first match, and now the very first goal. And what a beautifully well-worked goal it was.
It was so well played. And they had made several runs similar to that, several different players had, but Josiah Blanton was finally able to get a nice first touch on it to be able to square up the shot and put it in the back of the net.
Blanton has arguably been the best player for the Marshall Islands so far this week. And you know, you knew the moment was just going to be so special regardless of how it was scored, but for it to be scored with such a well-worked series of passes, remarkable.
And now if you are the Marshallese, you feel like you can win this game. They gave themselves an opportunity.
Here comes the Turks and Caicos side yet again. Perrella with a vital touch. Junior Paul, by the way, scored that second goal for Turks and Caicos. He now has the Golden Boot lead 4-3 over Raheem Joseph, who we might see for the U.S. Virgin Islands later on today. Anitok. Here come the Marshallese again, looking for more. Back it goes for Turbyfield.
And you cannot say enough how impressive the James Madison product, Josiah Blanton, has been for the Marshall Islands. Has really been that anchor on defense, and now he's etched himself into history as the country's first goal scorer. Matt Webb making a run down the left line here.
And able to nod it along to himself. He gets it over for Kumar. Kumar with the outside of his boot, and wow, it's just tipped over the top. What a strike on the half volley from Vinay Kumar, and Turbyfield had a lot of work to do.
The Marshall Islands inches from equalizing there, and what a strike outside of the boot. And we have a match, Ben.
We certainly do. It is game on at Springdale High School. Corner here for the Marshallese. There's the short option provided. And they do go short. That's a lovely little turn to open up some space on the end line, and Turks and Caicos worked that very well to keep it from being another corner. Blanton will step up, the goal scorer. And now Turks and Caicos, always so dangerous when they have those Marshall Islands players forward on the set pieces, will instead wait just a moment to reset. A moment that will quite simply live forever. In about the 25th minute. 2-1. Turks and Caicos, but it could be more as here they come on the left side, support on the back post. Perrella will wait for it to be squared, and it is, and it's onside, and it's 3-1. Not one, not two, but three tremendous counterattacks for Turks and Caicos. They continue to undo the Marshall Islands on the break, and they restore their 2-goal lead.
Yeah, and that left wing has just been vicious for the Turks and Caicos. They are so fast on that side of the pitch.
And it happens in just about the blink of an eye, and that will get us to our hydration break. Speaking of hydration, that goal was brought to you by our sponsor, Be Hydrogen, the future of hydration. A second goal of the day for Keniel Clervil. He and Junior Paul have just been absolutely remarkable on the break. And so it is 3-1. So we'll have to sit and take stock a bit of the first 32 minutes of this match that has seen everything. 3 goals for Turks and Caicos, 3 deserving goals on the counter. They have played their part in this match in terms of what they wanted to do to absolute perfection. The highlight, as harsh as it may sound to a Turks and Caicos side that has executed their game plan perfectly, is Josiah Blanton and the first ever goal scored for the Marshall Islands.
Yeah, it's hard to be too sad about the scoreline right now because you saw what it meant to every single player and staff member wearing a Marshallese shirt on the other side. The whole staff, every single player piled into the corner after the goal was scored. So a very just historic moment. But now I'm interested to see what what adjustments they will make here after these 3 Turks and Caicos goals, all scored almost in identical fashion. A counterattack down the left flank. Let's see what they can do to try and counteract that, as Turks and Caicos, a very defined game plan, absorbing pressure, hitting on the counter down the left side.
It is kind of an interesting shift in mindset now because it felt like the big moment that needed to come of this second match was the first goal.
Yeah.
And now that has happened so early in this match, in the first half, now if you're the Marshallese, you can say, hey, look, it's been one specific part of the game that we've come undone by. We've got that goal. We've got kind of what we came here knowing that we really felt like we needed to do. Now, let's go and get a result. Now we can go and kind of push and be a little bit more free-flowing.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's kind of the final hurdle.
The Marshallese entering the 35th minute here. If the Marshallese can get one back before halftime, they can make a match out of this for certain.
Getting an opportunity just to take a quick scan on social media during that hydration break. Promise I was still listening to you, Carter. But an opportunity just to see some of the reactions as the word has gotten out that the Marshall Islands scored that goal. And what must be running through the head right now of Josiah Blanton, a 25-year-old who had such a great high school career, one of the players who has the more high-level Division I experience here in the United States. Lloyd Owers has talked, and so many people around the camp have talked about the different ways that players have gotten onto this Marshall Islands squad, whether it be living in the islands for so long, whether it be where they were born and then had to move away, whether it be from where their families are from. Everyone has kind of a different story to get themselves here, but how it hasn't really mattered because they have all kind of been part of the same group together. And there hasn't really been, one player who is more representative than any others of the country. And for Josiah Blanton to have that moment forever has to just be an incredible, incredible moment for the former James Madison Duke. Here is Sidle, the captain. You know that had to be a special moment for him, too, leading the side. And now here they come again. Nigro shirks one. Great ball with the outside of the boot. Long run asked for Vinay Kumar. He'll catch up to it before it goes out of play initially, and then it continued to spin and spin. Flag was up for offside anyways.
Thought he was going to be able to keep it in play, but at the end, doesn't matter as the flag goes up. I love that idea, though.
Yeah. Sidle along the right side all week has been creating some issues. Lucas Shriver has subbed onto the field for the Marshall Islands. Really good sign to see him be able to come on. After it looked like he might have picked up just a little bit of a knock earlier on this week against USVI. Really good to see him on the field. He is the new right back at the moment, which is not the position he was playing against USVI, but that is where Turks and Caicos has really hit the Marshallese, on the TNC attacking left, the Marshallese defending right. And that will allow Seth Sidle to push further forward, as it seems like he has wanted to do as well. So it's an interesting tactical move from Lloyd Owers. And Lucas Shriver, who has spent part of his club career with that Villarreal setup in Virginia, player who really understands the 11v11 game tactically very well, asked to do something a little bit different than what he was doing earlier this week, and that really shows the trust that Lloyd Owers has. And the man wearing the number 10 shirt, here's a long strike from distance. Haven't seen too many of those strikes from outside the box for Turks and Caicos.
They really haven't needed to strike from outside the box. They just run so quickly down the line, or down the wing, with just so much pace. Matt Webb plays it forward.
Believe that Lucas Shriver came in for Gladius Edejer. We'll try to get confirmation on that if we can. But here comes Turks and Caicos on the break again. Shriver just into the game with some defending to do. Allows the cut back towards the middle, but that will allow Blanton to step up. It's a little bit more time and space, and then Nigro puts in a lovely challenge. Dave Nigro had to time that one very well. If he gets that wrong, it's a free kick in a really dangerous spot. And then the clear goes long.
You see, Lloyd Owers has given Josiah Blanton a lot of freedom.
There's a player down. Yeah, go ahead, Carter.
You can tell. Let's see who.
That's Kumar.
It is Kumar. It's down. You can see that Josiah Blanton's been given a lot of freedom from Lloyd Owers to really throw himself into the attack when it seems like the right moment. Is starting to press forward a little bit there again, trying to release Kumar down the left wing.
Got another stoppage in play here. We might have a second cooling break because of how warm it really is today. I'll tell you what, I looked at the weather before the game. It says it's about 89 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know if that is exactly right. It feels
much hotter than that
outside.
A lot
hotter. It really does. For those of you who are watching outside of the United States, 90 Fahrenheit, our Fahrenheit to Celsius converter isn't working. There we go. It's about 33 degrees Celsius, but it feels a lot warmer than that. It feels like probably 35, 36 degrees Celsius, well closer to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Absolutely scalding, plus the 10 to 15 degrees you add playing on an artificial turf. And in a match like this, in a competition like this, the last thing you want is to endanger any sort of player safety and player wellness because of the heat. You'd rather take the extra 45 seconds, make sure you get it where it needs to be. Make sure you get all the players where they need to be in terms of their hydration.
Yeah,
Dehydrogen might need to get involved. All the great work that they do in the sports drink world.
Yeah, and when those whistle blows for halftime, get the players to the locker room as quickly as possible. Just get them out of the sun, get them off this turf, let them cool for a few minutes.
It will be an interesting halftime talk, to say the very least. Wonder what the mood will be in each of the two locker rooms. You'd imagine that the Marshall Islands obviously will be disappointed to have given up the 3 goals in pretty much the same carbon copy fashion. But you know they will just be absolutely ecstatic to have scored and feel like they are stuck into this match. They have had other opportunities. It hasn't just been the one, and they might have another here. Hill. That's a nice play from Sidle to keep the ball from going out of play. Sidle will cut towards the end line. Can he catch up to it? Not quite. Oh, he was able to play it off of the Turks and Caicos player. That's really smartly played by Seth Sidle.
I did not think he was going to be able to get another touch on that ball as it headed out towards the end line, but what an excellent job by Sidle to play that off of the defender.
Susquehanna University player, Division III level of the NCAA in Pennsylvania. Part of a really top-level athletic conference, the Landmark Conference, at the D3 level. So it'll be Shriver who can stand over this one.
Yeah, since he's been subbed on, that does give them another set piece taker.
It'll be an outswinger. It's low along the ground, causing some danger. The header clearance only goes as far as the edge of the 18, put right back in for Blanton. A little bit of a heavy touch. Shriver was able to interrupt the counter, and Marshallese can go again. Schutz along the left side, hounded by his defender, and he'll work a free kick. This is the kind of angle that Dave Nigro and Lucas Shriver can fight over. I think it'll be Nigro. He's on that side anyways. Yeah. You wouldn't mind a right-footed opportunity for Shriver here, but Nigro will take this with his left. Love to work it right to that penalty area about 1 yard in front of the football end zone. And keep an eye on Blanton, as always, in these set pieces.
They've looked for Blanton in all of their set pieces. You kind of see him jostling for position.
Over 6 feet tall, very dangerous on these header opportunities. It is whipped in towards the danger area, towards the back post. And it will go out for a goal kick. I think that was Schutz who got his head on it. But it will just be a Sebastian Turbyfield goal kick to keep things moving. Vinay Kumar has been replaced as well. Colin Taranga is onto the field. That was actually Pat Phelon who was replaced by Shriver.
Another set piece. So this will be about possibly about a carbon copy of almost the last place it was a free kick.
Blanton is standing over this at the moment, and I think he was just guarding the ball for Nigro. Wouldn't imagine that Lloyd Owers would want Blanton anywhere than on the end of the ball.
Anywhere but the box right now. And I was watching just Josiah Blanton there on the last set piece. He was very well being held in the box.
Another ball clipped in. Turbyfield off of his line. That's a good corral by Turbyfield and an important claim, because he had a couple of white Marshallese jerseys around him, and now here goes Turks and Caicos again on the counter. Shriver able to turn back, long ball up ahead, flag stays down, 3 or 4 gold jerseys in the mix. Towards the back post it goes, headed back across and cleared off the line. The Marshallese doing some last-ditch defending, but they aren't done yet along the back line. Here comes Turks and Caicos again. Marshallese able to force the play back. I was a bit better on the counterattack defense from the Marshall Islands. Instead of 1 or 2, there were 3 or 4 players racing all the way back to make life a little bit more difficult on the break for TNC.
Yeah, and Matt Webb got back to clear that off the line. Really good job from him.
Lovely little move, though, to slalom around 1 and 2, and then 3 defenders. Good step up from Blanton, though, to win it back. Blanton, who has shifted a little bit further out left. Some fancy footwork, and it works out, pinballing into the middle of the field. Switch of play along towards the left. Making the run is Nigro along the left flank. Nigro settles it down, stopped by Turbyfield. Nigro almost made it 2 for the Marshall Islands right on the stroke of halftime.
I mean, if they could pull one back here, they would really start believing here in the second half. But Turbyfield, once again, has been just excellent this tournament.
They go short for Shriver to improve the angle. Lucas Shriver can size this one up, going back post over the head of Turbyfield, then over the bar. We are at 45 minutes. And into first half stoppage time, of which there will be a significant amount. 4 goals and 2 cooling breaks. But a moment already etched in Marshall Islands history forever off the foot of Josiah Blanton. And they do not seem like they are satisfied with the 1, the Marshallese. There's another player down back behind the play for RMI. Hopefully it looks like it's more of an issue with the shin pads than injury worry. But we will stop play anyways. Thankfully no member of the medical staff has come on at the moment. We'll try to see if we can identify who that player is. Just stretching things out is Folliet Schutz. So back to play we go. A little bit of a slip from Turks and Caicos gives possession back to the Marshall Islands. Here is Seth Sidle. Whips it low along the ground. That can be dangerous on this turf, where the hops are always unexpected. Turks and Caicos able to deal with it expertly, though. And now they can go again. Aaron Lawrence's group has done this time and time again today. Nice little touch, though, from Nigro, and he wins it right back. Nigro, reverse pass over towards the right. Tarango will take the shot from a sharp angle, tailing away from the goal, and it does go wide to the near post. And that might just about be that for the first half, and it is halftime here at Jarrell Williams Bulldog Stadium. 3 goals for Turks and Caicos, 1 from Junior Paul to give him the lead in the Golden Boot race, and 2 from Keniel Clervil, including the opener in the 15th minute. But a goal from Josiah Blanton gives the Marshall Islands their first goal in their Soccer Federation's history. What a moment it was, Carter.
And you could just see what it meant when every single player and staff member joined in on the goal celebration at the end. Lloyd Owers was sprinting himself into the corner, okay? You don't see head coaches take part in goal celebrations like that very often, and every single person involved with this initiative was in that corner. So I would just, and here's the thing, I think this is a winnable game for the Marshallese. They've looked the better team for good portions of the first half. It's just 3 really solid counterattacks from Turks and Caicos that have said otherwise.
So at the break, it is a 2-goal lead for Turks and Caicos, but opportunities to create some more memories that will last a lifetime for the Marshall Islands, and perhaps if they can get one back early in the second half, a chance to chase down a result. We'll step aside and leave you with some of the sounds and sights of Jarrell Williams Bulldog Stadium. When we come back, we'll look back at the first half, ahead towards the second, maybe try to break down Lloyd Owers' 40-yard dash speed. Don't go anywhere. This is the 2025 Outrigger Challenge Cup.
Blanton, a beautiful pass over the top. Josiah, the Marshallese had multiple opportunities, but just the first touch was just a little too heavy each time in the box. But finally, Josiah Blanton, a perfect first touch, slots it home into the bottom corner, and just pandemonium for the Marshall Islands, a country that had never played an 11v11 soccer game before Thursday night. They scored their first goal here, and it was a beauty. What a beauty it was from Josiah Blanton.
And what a sight this has been here in Northwest Arkansas. We should thank the people of Springdale and of Fayetteville for their hospitality. Of course, this competition taking place in Springdale, and a lot of the players, including the Marshallese camp, has been set up in Fayetteville. Just a wonderful location, really the no-brainer location to hold this competition, and the community has responded in kind.
Yeah, and Northwest Arkansas, just a soccer-loving community. A lot of really good both high school programs and youth programs around here. We'll see Ozark United's U19s play. They'll be starting a USL team here in a few years here in Northwest Arkansas. So a community that loves soccer, and a community full of just a lot of people from the Marshall Islands. So it's been just kind of a perfect marriage of those two things, and a perfect place to host the Outrigger Challenge Cup.
And we do still have one more match, as Carter mentioned, U.S. Virgin Islands versus Ozark United U19s. That will take place at 4 o'clock local time. But let's look into the second half here, as we're about 3 minutes away from kicking off for the second 45. Marshallese have had, you could argue, the better of the play. They've had more possession in the attacking third. It has really been one avenue of the game, those counterattacks that Turks and Caicos has been able to hit the Marshall Islands on. And after the introduction of Lucas Shriver into the game at right back, it looks as if the Marshall Islands have been able to stymie a couple of those TNC counters. Now, Lloyd Owers will have a full 15 minutes to go into his locker room, and the analysts and the assistant coaching staff, and Lloyd will be able to talk about how to stop that one avenue of the game, which has really been all that TNC have had, all that TNC have needed. We certainly don't want to diminish Turks and Caicos' effort by saying all it has been counterattacks, because that's been what their game plan has been, and it's been executed really well. But when there is one specific aspect of the game that you could key in on as an opposing coach, that gives you an opportunity to change things at halftime.
Yeah, and you mentioned Lucas Schreiber. He picked up a bit of a knock on Thursday night. You said this morning, he said he was feeling a little bit tight, and they knew that they might have him for limited minutes. But after that third, Lucas has been introduced, and Lucas Schreiber was just the first person to run out onto the pitch. I think Lucas is ready to be here, and they are really going to need to count on him to give the Marshallese an opportunity here in this second half. And again, they had several. They scored the one goal. They could have had two. They could have had three. They had multiple opportunities to score in that first half. And I would love to see them, you'd love to see them get another one. But they want to win this game. And I think they have the opportunity to do so if they are able to cinch it down defensively.
A match that certainly feels wide open. Remember the first match, TNC gave up one goal. Sebastian Turbyfield was tremendous in that game. USVI really could have won it in the 90 minutes if not for the sensational play of the Turks and Caicos keeper. And they conceded 3 goals against Ozark United U19s. They conceded the one here so far. Next goal is going to be absolutely massive. If it belongs to Turks and Caicos, then that's likely that Marshall Islands in their second ever match to ask them for 4 goals would be a Herculean effort. But if the Marshall Islands score the next goal, especially in the first 15 to 20 minutes of the second half, then you're really thinking that they have an opportunity to go out and do something even more remarkable than what they've already done.
Yeah, and I think if they had been able to get one before halftime, they came so agonizingly close to getting a second before halftime. But you mentioned they're able to sneak one in these first 5-10 minutes. It's anyone's game. It's anyone's match. I truly, firmly believe the Marshall Islands are in this game and they can win it.
There was that huge chance for Dave Nigro just before halftime. Turbyfield came way off of his line to challenge and cut down the angle and had a really well-worked save to make sure that it was not a second for the Marshall Islands just before halftime. So we'll see what the second 45 minutes has in store. Turks and Caicos, again, will be in those gold kits that they've been in throughout the week, and the Marshall Islands in the white jerseys. We do also want to look back and thank our player sponsors who have been sponsoring the Marshall Islands players over the course of this week. Patrick Phelon sponsored Dylan Lewin, Danny Razuk, sponsored by Sweeper Pod, Josiah Blanton, by Paul Dubberly, and Paul has to be absolutely buzzing after seeing Josiah score that goal. Zach Hill by Mark Thompson, Cullen Tarenga by RBLR Sports, Kero Zinahite by Matt Pohl, Lucas Schreiber by Hamblywood, Vinay Kumar by Paul as well, Gabino Gallegos by Andy Pepper, Matt John by Elliot Smith, Dominic Pace by Dave Lovering Broadus, and the captain, Seth Sidle, who was sponsored by Adam Cole, and then as well the captain's armband sponsorship going to Parkio, and Seth is wearing that as well. So a big shout out to Parkio as well as Adam. Big opportunity for Marshall Islands here in the second half to perhaps make something out of this match. It is 3-1 as we get start for the second 45. Turks and Caicos standing over the ball, ready to begin this second half. All good, says our keepers. Our referee looks at the watch. And away we go with the second 45 minutes here on game 1 of the final day of the Outrigger Challenge Cup. Only 135 more minutes left of soccer this week in Arkansas. And if you're just waking up in the Marshall Islands, it is about 7 a.m. we believe there, then good morning, and your country has scored a goal in an international match. Josiah Blanton, in about the 25th minute, has given the Marshallese a moment they will never, ever forget.
So let's look tactically at what Lloyd Owers has done here. It looks like he's stuck Matt Webb at center back and stuck Josiah Blanton on the left side, which may free up Josiah to make a few more runs, to bomb forward just a little bit more. Maybe it's more of a wing back.
Was officially the 27th minute. Mark it down forever for the Marshallese. A bit of a pocket of space in the center of the park for the Marshall Islands to work on. This is certainly more possession than the Marshallese had against USVI. Opportunity to run forward now for Matt Webb. Especially in the second half, if the Marshall Islands able to have as much possession as they've had and kind of let the ball do the traveling and make Turks and Caicos do more of the running than they do, given the conditions, could be a big advantage as this match plays on, but Perrella can't quite get to that back pass, and it'll be a corner kick given away to Turks and Caicos.
Yeah, Turks and Caicos was creeping forward a little bit there, and the back pass was just a little bit rushed.
And a great save by Perrella off of a quickly working corner kick.
We have not seen many shots from outside of the box from the Turks and Caicos, and they just let one fly. Another corner incoming. Small little pockets of Turks and Caicos fans in the stands. Good to see them here.
Yeah, we talked about it with USVI as well, but a great opportunity for fans of that country to be able to see their team, which they don't often get to do if living in this part of the United States. Another opportunity here for TNC. Lovely turn. Back over towards the right side it goes. And Turks and Caicos will go all the way back. Rarely have been this many players wearing gold ahead of the ball. A chance to possess in the offensive areas for Turks and Caicos. That's a clever switch. Blanton read it well, though, and will head it back to Matt Perrella.
I'm so interested in seeing Josiah Blanton on this left wing here. He was so explosive in the first half, more from the center back position. He's going to go for a run here.
Dave Nigro dropping back to collect the goal kick. Clearance sliced away, so it will be Marshallese throw.
You know, one issue with this being a football field and not necessarily a soccer field, the short fence around it, the ball bounces out and into the bleachers pretty regularly here. Always have to have someone nearby with another ball.
That's Amir St. Clair, who's been patrolling the sideline, collecting all the balls that have gone out of the field of play.
Amir is a man of many talents.
He's got to be in 4 or 5 places at once. I don't quite know how he does it. Good takeaway by Turks and Caicos, covered across well, though, by the Marshallese. And now here is Blanton on this left wing. Shouts of man on come. He's able to get the ball out of his feet. Zach Hill couldn't quite return it to him. Schultz, clever little back heel, though, to get it back for Hill. And now Anitok trying to chip it towards the left. Schultz could be in and off of his line. Well, Turbyfield will claim it.
That was some beautiful soccer from the Marshall Islands, though. They had that drawn up perfectly. Let's see if they go back to that.
That's certainly what I would imagine Lloyd Owers would have had in mind when he made that move to shift a couple of players around. Zach Hill looks like he has a little bit more support in the attacking line. It was kind of all him by himself against USVI. Now Schultz has been creeping forward. Sidle has been creeping forward. And Anitok wins it back for the Marshall Islands. Nice little challenge put in by Turks and Caicos to knock it out of play. Into the 50th minute here at Springdale High School and Jarrell Williams Bulldog Stadium. Long cross in the direction of Schultz, and again it's Turbyfield who just reads the play so well. Sweeper keeper a number of occasions today for Turks and Caicos is once again able to make sure that nothing more comes of that challenge. That ball just ran out of play, so we'll go back the way of the Marshall Islands.
And this looks eerily similar to how the first half started. And just the Turks and Caicos, they play just such a counter-attacking style of soccer. They absorb pressure and absorb pressure and absorb pressure, and then you blink and they've scored. So looking a little eerily similar to that first half. Let's see if it ends up a little bit different.
Nigro outside of the boot. What a ball that is for Sidle, who couldn't quite keep it under his feet. How did Dave Nigro see that pass?
What a brilliant ball from Dave Nigro. And it was a great run from Sidle. Just could not. We saw that in the first half, too. The first touch just a little bit heavy. And again, it's really hot. It's really humid. The ball's bouncing pretty hard off that synthetic turf. It is very difficult to have a good first touch.
Every time that Dave Nigro picks the ball up in that kind of space, though, you get to the edge of your seat a little bit more. As have the fans who have braved the heat here to do just that. Solid crowd here on this Saturday, especially given the conditions. A lot of fans are out and about, those hand fans trying to cool spectators down. Especially on the metal bleachers. That doesn't do you any favors either.
Oh my goodness. kind of some flashbacks of some youth football played at this very stadium back in my day. That those August afternoons in Arkansas, they're scalding hot.
Unforgiving temperature for a day that will forever be famous in Marshall Islands Soccer Federation history. Thursday, August the 14th, and Saturday, August the 16th. The first match, the first goal. And now the question of when the first result will come. The Marshallese chasing the game by the score of 3-1. 2 goals for Keniel Clervil, 1 for Junior Paul, and 1 for the Marshallese for Josiah Blanton. Nigro, lovely little skip around one and a second. The 1-2, he'll take it himself and hits it closer to where it lists the saves on the scoreboard than a save needed for Turbyfield. But you can't really fault Nigro for taking a shot like that. He has to be full of confidence.
You know, you can't fault him. That was really all. You might as well just let it rip from right there, right? So you can't really fault him.
See if Seth Sidle can get more involved down that right wing as well. That's where a lot of the opportunities came in the first half for the Marshallese, those switches of play from left to right. There's a stoppage on the field, and there's a player down again. I think it's Schutz. Not for the first time today, unfortunately.
I think he's had a few equipment malfunctions. Something with the shoestrings or the shin pads.
Hopefully it is just that. Obviously also on a day like today have to be wary of cramps. Thankfully Schultz is back up to his feet.
Yeah,
and we play on.
He's relacing his boots there. I think he's all right. Turks and Caicos another runner on that left wing.
Shriver racing back to try to pick him up. It's whipped back into the box, and Webb is able to clear it away. Only as far as the edge of the 18, Edejer will race back to keep it alive, and he'll just send it out of play. Anywhere will do in that kind of position. Just give yourself a little bit of time to get some numbers back defensively.
See the United States Virgin Islands squad getting ready for their 4 p.m. kickoff. They've made their arrival to Bulldog Stadium.
And they know all too well the danger that the Turks and Caicos counter can provide. Speaking of counters, a chance to do so here for the Marshallese. Picked up in a little bit of space by Anitok, and it goes all the way back. Now Blanton with room to operate in front of him. He'll take that space. Blanton has an option off to his left. He finds him cutting towards the edge of the 18. Lovely little move to get around a first defender, and then Turks and Caicos able to do the defending in the end. Kairos Inahite with an opportunity along that left flank. Good step up by Shriver to put it right back into the mixer. Nearly was beaten off of the redirection and then wins a foul in the end. Still have not seen a card in this match.
Yeah, it's been pretty clean. I mean, some fouls here and there, but nothing too hard.
Referee's done a good job of just managing the game, allowing the players to decide it. Square ball for Nigro, asking somebody to come to him. Sidle does. Lovely challenge put in by Nigro to win it right back. Had Taranga in front of him, but unable to find him, but that's because he was fouled. So a free kick for the Marshall Islands, and there's only 1 or 2 players who you trust to take it. It's Shriver or Nigro, and one sends it square to the other. Blanton asking for it on the left because he's got a one-on-one challenge with plenty of room in front of that. Another 1-2 with Blanton. Oh, trying to slide it in front for Sidle. Instead, they'll try the left. That one was stepped in front of as well.
Blanton, though, he had an opportunity, but better defense from the Turks and Caicos to cut attack out.
Oh, opportunity along the back post. Trying to get back is Inahite, and it's covered well by Webb. Stepping across, moving from right to left to make sure nothing more came of that, and now it opens up along the left side. Schultz Didn't get around his first defender, but got it back and then went through the legs of his defender. Schutz getting it right back. Edge of the 18 goes down. That will be waved off by our referee. Would not have been a penalty. It was outside of the box, and that is just a throw-in now for the Marshallese. Schutz looking dangerous, though.
I thought the referee was going to give the foul there. It looked like a push to me, but...
Long throw claimed by Turbyfield.
This is where Turks has been dangerous, just a long ball up ahead.
It's a great arc on that ball, sending the Turks and Caicos player perhaps a bit too far wide, but now one-on-one defending to do for the Marshallese. Back towards the middle of the park. And Marshall Islands able to do just enough to turn them back, and a shot goes from distance wide. That's better defending on the counter for the Marshall Islands. Lloyd Owers will let Turks and Caicos take those kinds of shots. And oh boy, I think it's Schutz down again back behind the play.
Yeah, Matt Webb did a really nice job there to turn the attacker away and just give him no lane to shoot.
I think that might have to be it for Schutz, unfortunately.
Yeah, stretching it out. I think it is just so hot, and cramps are just so common when it's this hot and on that synthetic turf, 10 to 15 degrees hotter. So
they'll go and tend to Schutz, and everyone will kind of retreat back to their corners. So that first 10 to 15 minutes that we were talking about, so important for the Marshall Islands, has started to come and go. More chances forward, more opportunities on the counter, but Marshall Islands have looked a little bit more organized on those Turks and Caicos counters.
I mean, they've really played some beautiful soccer in this game, and they've had multiple opportunities, one of which resulted in the goal for Josiah Blanton. And I have really liked the switch to play Blanton on the left side that allows him to get forward a little more, get a little bit more involved in the attack. And it's unfortunate that we're seeing Schutz possibly exit here because he and Blanton have had some really good build-up play together.
We'll see if that is it for the day for Schutz. Keeping an eye on him, he's walking back towards the sideline and heading towards the bench. And so we will see if it is the end of the day for Folliet Schutz, who has put in a shift.
It looks like Matt Jean is coming on, so
15 in the Marshallese colors.
See where they... You'd love to see Matt Jean. I believe he did go to Springdale High School, so...
Player moved to Arkansas, playing from the age of 4 to about 13, and now playing recreational Sunday League. Yes, anything but that. Game of tremendous importance for him, and John will kind of square up right in that center of the park. That will force Inahite out to the left. Colin Tarango will play right off of his shoulder, it looks like, from the setup. Marshall Islands throwing off with a goal kick. You start to think about if the Marshall Islands and you legitimately can think about going for a result here, you would likely need a goal by about the 70th minute or so to give yourself a realistic opportunity. As John chests it down, clipped once again back, but Turbyfield has been so difficult to beat on those crosses. He has come off of his line expertly here so far today. Turks and Caicos players asking for the switch. They will send it square along towards the left. Oh, able to be kept in by Sidle. That was a clever move, and he sends John along down the right side. John worked to a sharp angle. Turks and Caicos got the numbers back defensively to make it tough for him. And TNC can build out of the back now. Good intervention by Webb, but only as far as the Turks and Caicos midfielder. Heavy touch will force Shriver to step up, and he wins it back cleanly.
Job by Shriver, and they've got some space here.
It's Nigro who can take it. He's clattered into the back of. And that should be a yellow card. First of the day, and it will be in the 61st minute. So an opportunity for another one of the set pieces here. Imagine that Shriver and Nigro will be the two who will look over it.
Nigro walking away, it'll be Lucas Shriver.
So again, the usual suspects are in and around the area for the Marshall Islands. This is a little bit of a deeper lying free kick. Nigro is an option to play it square. Instead, it's sent right towards that edge of the 18. Header only goes up. Zinahite playing it back down to his feet. Referee says play on. And so now here comes another chance to break. It's 3 versus 3 for Turks and Caicos. Marauding forward, they choose the left. Shriver hustling back as the jerseys start to flood backwards for the Marshallese. And Turks and Caicos is forced to go backwards. Again, better defending on those counters for the Marshall Islands. The adjustment being made to put Shriver in at right back really seems to have worked for Lloyd Owers.
And they were really compact and did not allow Turks and Caicos to have nearly as much space as they did during those counters in the first half.
Clervil's continued to have those chances along the left, though. Every time that Turks and Caicos is able to break, they look dangerous. Our score remaining what it was at halftime. Turks and Caicos might do well just to possess the ball for a little while, even if it is on their defensive side of midfield. That seems to be the instruction from the technical staff for Turks and Caicos, is make the Marshall Islands do a little bit more of the running on this very hot day. And it obviously is the Marshallese who have to go and chase the game. There's some substitutions starting to get readied along the Turks and Caicos bench. There are a couple of players out and running and stretching, and there's one standing right by the fourth official, so it looks like Turks and Caicos will be going to their bench pretty soon. 7 substitutions over 3 windows are the rules for subs here at the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation's Outrigger Challenge Cup. Opportunity to still kind of keep that normal amount of substitution windows where you can't just change it as often as you'd like, but get a little bit more players into the game and protect players' legs and protect them from getting overheated as well on such a hot day. Game grinding to a halt a little bit more will better suit Turks and Caicos, who have the 2-goal lead to protect. They do make the substitution, so Turks and Caicos going to their bench. And now play will continue on.
Yeah, and Turks and Caicos really saving their hard runs for those counterattacks. Kind of saving their legs, absorbing pressure.
Look at how far back Nigro will work to win possession. Shriver on the right. Dave Nigro. Those two have been such creative forces for the Marshallese, Shriver and Nigro. Room to operate now for Anitok in front of him. Nobody closed him down in yellow, but from the back, an excellently timed challenge to dispossess Anitok, who had some room in front of him, but Nigro takes it right back. Nigro has a little bit of green grass to operate. Chooses Shriver along the right. Put back in towards the middle in the direction of John, and Turbyfield, not for the first time today, is able to stop a Marshallese cross.
Lovely idea from Shriver, though.
Lucas Shriver, Arlington, Virginia is where he spent a lot of time. I believe he got to work in the embassy of the Marshall Islands, which is just outside of DuPont Circle in Washington, D.C.
Now that we see Lucas kind of pushing forward a bit more, kind of getting himself involved in the attack.
Yeah, you'd imagine as this game gets later and later, those wingbacks for the Marshallese will have to start to try to take more risks. Here's a lovely ball, and it's briefly interrupted by a necessary touch. That was Sidle.
It was like offside flag was up, regardless.
Hey, good eye there, Carter, make sure that that would have been shocked off. But Sidle with a great touch, he couldn't have known that.
Yeah, I mean, you always play till the whistle, right? So he knew he had to get back and interrupt that attack.
And that will take us to our cooling break as we're just about at the midway point of this second half. And it remains a 3-1 lead for Turks and Caicos here on the final day of the Outrigger Challenge Cup. If you're Aaron Lawrence, I think you're relatively happy with how that second half has gone so far for TNC. They're managing the game relatively well. They're keeping a lot in front of them. But if you're Lloyd Owers, you're thinking, hey, we've still got all this possession. We've had a couple half-decent opportunities. There's been some good connections between players that we keep reiterating have not played together much at all. And there's a real opportunity here for the Marshall Islands.
And you know, if you were just tuning in for the first time ever watching them play, it doesn't really look like they haven't played much together. They look like they are gelling really well, especially, I mean, they're gelling well, especially in comparison to Thursday night. Like there were a few just errant passes here and there Thursday night, but the team they're really putting together some cohesive some cohesive build-up play. They are asking some very legitimate questions of the Turks and Caicos defense, and I think there are some opportunities here. And if they were to just get one back, you would start to believe just a little bit.
It's interesting to see the exponential growth that has happened in such a short amount of time. Even within that game on Thursday, you could see the players starting to become a little bit more comfortable with each other. They've continued to play with each other now throughout training over the course of the week, and they have looked as good as they have all week long over some spells in this match here today. It was an off day for the players yesterday. The Marshall Islands hosted a little soccer camp with some young players in the area. Really great opportunity. We talk about this kind of building up for the next generation. That was perhaps the most direct way that was able to happen, working one-on-one with some local young players in the area.
And hopefully getting some more players in the pipeline for
absolutely
down the road, which does remind me, we've been thanking a lot of people. We need to shout out one in particular who we know is watching in the UK is Max Houchin, who, like many of us, learned about this several years ago and wanted to be involved. So it was kind of his job. I believe he's the football development executive. Is his full title. He can correct us in the group chat.
I'm sure he will.
I'm incorrect here, but Max has it was kind of his job a couple of years ago to be reaching out to various places and finding eligible players with ties to the islands or in the islands, or players that were born there, had a parent from there. So it was kind of his job that he started several years ago to do so. And it's funny, I actually saw when I was first researching this project or hearing about this project several years ago, I think I found the article written from Max's university newspaper that they wrote about him specifically.
There you go.
So it was kind of funny. It'd been full circle to be able to see Max in the group chat and interacting. So a big thank you to him as well, and the many people watching abroad who've been a part of this.
It's a busy weekend of soccer. We know there are a lot of options on your television screen this weekend for soccer, so we appreciate you choosing what has been a story that has captivated the soccer world over the last week. Story being told, we mentioned last match, in some major publications. L'Equipe, the largest publication for sports in France, telling the story of the Marshall Islands only a day after PSG won the European Super Cup. They were talking about this group right here and what they have been able to accomplish for an entire country. There were some really incredible moments that we were able to look back on. People sharing that groups were watching the broadcast on Thursday. We'll get back to that in a second, as Anitok was unable to really hit that cleanly with the laces. It will go out for a corner. Saw a community center that was watching back in the Marshall Islands on Thursday. I heard that there was a band director that stopped some school after school ended. People can go back into the band room and watch some of the games. So wherever you might be watching from, whether it's back in the Marshall Islands on Sunday morning or UK or anywhere else, we appreciate it. Here's the outswinging corner kick towards the back post. Penalty! It's a penalty for the Marshall Islands!
Wow.
A player was dragged down on the back post. It was Nigro as the ball was floated to the back post. And here is the golden opportunity for the Marshall Islands to get one back.
They're going to have Aaron Anitok-Brokken take it, the 18-year-old who plays for Clark College. What an opportunity for the Marshallese.
We mentioned that this was around that part of the game where Marshall Islands needed to get one back if they had any chance at a result. And here, a massive opportunity. Sebastian Turbyfield has been tremendous. Did not stop a penalty, though, in the USVI shootout loss. Anitok-Brokken to make it 2 for the Marshall Islands, and he does! Slots it home coolly, and it is game on in Springdale. 3-2 in the 72nd minute.
What a great penalty. Turbyfield guesses the right way, but he places that so perfectly into the bottom left. Didn't hit it with a lot of pace, but placement for Anitok-Brokken.
What do we have here? That goal brought to you by B Hydrogen, transformation of your hydration routine. 20 minutes or so, including an expected amount of stoppage time, and those who have been waving the Marshall Islands flags really starting to make some noise. It is a 1-goal game with more substitutions coming up here for the Marshall Islands.
Matt John, I believe, has been subbed off. He was kind of down right before that hydration break.
Getting all sorts of hugs as Jay Corder will come on in for the Marshallese. Also a very talented swimmer has represented the Marshall Islands in the 2024 World Aquatic Swimming Championship, and now there's a Turks and Caicos player down back behind. Thankfully able to get back up to his feet. And so we play on, and now Turks and Caicos will start to feel a bit of pressure, a 3-1 lead to protect a penalty to get RMI right back within 1. That's a long ball over the top, able to stay on side, and that's a lovely pass. Oh, it was a penalty. It looked like Webb was able to come across, but a penalty has been given. Matt Perrella can't believe it. I believe it's a handball.
Yeah, I thought Webb got that with his chest and not with the arm, but I think Matt thought so as well.
Referee explaining to the Marshallese what the decision was, but only moments after the Marshall Islands made it a 1-goal game, a chance to restore the 2-goal cushion from the penalty spot.
Yeah, that's one. The referee was 20 yards behind the play. I just don't know how he can have a clear enough view of that. And both Perrella and Matt saying it didn't hit his arm.
Now Matt Perrella will try to make the Turks and Caicos shooter wait as long as possible to restore the 2-goal cushion for Turks and Caicos. Over the bar!
It. Wow.
It looked like the plant leg wasn't really set on this turf field. And a let-off for the Marshall Islands, and still just a 1-goal game.
A lifeline for the Marshall Islands. Wow.
The Marshallese will feel like justice was served there. A penalty conceded by the Marshall Islands that does not come back to haunt them. And Turks and Caicos not able to hit the target on the penalty shot.
Can you say ball don't lie in soccer, Ben? Has that felt like one of those moments? It was not a clear enough penalty for me personally.
Well, here is interesting.
Oh,
looks like we have a change in goalkeeper.
Wow, yeah.
For Turks and Caicos. Sebastian Turbifield's day is done. You'd have to imagine that that was predetermined.
Letting the 15-year-old Samuel Harvey, who debuted at age 14, he will have the remainder of the game.
Cullen Taranga going to get on the end of this. Taranga around one defender. Taranga cutting it back for Nigro. Shriver towards the back post. Oh, there was a player all alone. Cairo Zinahite wasn't picked up on the back post, but they just couldn't quite get a player to him. Offside flag might have been up anyways. Be interesting to see how Harvey plays the goalkeeper position compared to Turbyfield, who is very, very aggressive off of his line. You'd have to imagine that this was predetermined to give Harvey, a young player, more opportunities to play an international match, with Turks and Caicos already unable to capture the Outrigger Challenge Cup trophy that has already been clinched by USVI. Good interruption by Anitok-Brokken to win it back. Shriver, oh, that was not the pass that he had in mind. And Turks and Caicos could be away, but Nigro steps back to win it.
What a match Nigro has been having.
Taranga getting forward, and it will work out for a throw for the Marshallese, who have roughly 15 minutes to find an equalizer. Little bit of open space to work with now for the Marshall Islands. Trying to reverse it back was Anitok-Brokken. He saw the idea, but it didn't work out for him. Now the shot comes in from distance. Took a bit of a redirection, it looked like.
I think they're pointing for it. Yeah, it must have. It hit off of a Turks and Caicos player. So.
That could have gone absolutely anywhere.
Another set piece opportunity.
It'll be Dave Nigro who will take it. Cue up towards the penalty area. It will be an outswinger with the left foot from Nigro. Floated towards the back post. Keeper stays home. It's settled down and cleared away. Blanton. Looking for the long switch. That's a clever idea to find Nigro. The 1-2 didn't quite make its way back to him. Clearance was sliced, though. Webb steps up. Anitok-Brokken, lovely little turn. Pocket of space now for Blanton. Gives it right back. Aaron Anitok-Brokken will have a shot tipped away by the keeper, Harvey. It bounced right in front of him, and he got an outstretched palm. It'll be another corner for the Marshallese.
When that was first let go, I didn't think it was going to be even close, but it took such a weird hop off of the synthetic turf. Harvey had to make a diving save to tip it outside the bar.
It'll be Shriver this time to take the outswinging corner.
Just inches from an equalizer.
Right on the penalty area, Blanton heads it over the bar.
Some serious questions being asked of Samuel Harvey and this Turks and Caicos team. You have to wonder how the legs of both teams are feeling at this point in time. On this hot Northwest Arkansas day, but my goodness, the Marshallese are giving themselves so many opportunities to equalize.
Zinahite is going to be removed from the game. Cairo Zinahite, the 21-year-old, put in a shift. We'll try to identify who that is that has come on in his place. Turks and Caicos possesses. They get it right back. Now here is Shriver. Back for Blanton and Shriver once more. Floated back into the box. Harvey will be able to claim that. Lovely little move to get that ball through the Turks and Caicos defense. Nigro with his head up. Picks Shriver, who is now switched over towards the left. Shriver sits down his first defender, sends it back in towards the middle. It's headed over the bar. Was not going to count anyway. Flag was up for offside. They are getting a bit closer again, are the Marshallese.
Vince, they better carry Josiah Blanton off of this pitch when he is done. As he deserves a king's exit after the shift that he has put in. That whole attack started with him nutmegging the defender and then finding Shriver on the left wing.
A real threat to perhaps win man of the match. You'd imagine that Clervil with his 2 goals would be in the driver's seat, especially if Turks and Caicos wins. to receive that wonderful Rebelib, the navigational stick chart that is being used as the player of the match trophy. But if the Marshallese are able to find one more, all bets could be off. If Turks and Caicos can find another here, that could be just about that. Flag is up for offsides.
Yeah, I think it was very close. I think he was off by about a step there. I think that's a good call from the official.
Unable to keep that one in was Shriver. Perrella knew he had an opportunity to find Shriver in some space. Turks and Caicos now just trying to get across the finish line.
Man, Turks and Caicos has been involved in 3 just excellent matches now.
Very watchable team for sure. Making the long run is Turanga on the right side. Defender able to shield him off. You'd imagine that whenever the Marshall Islands will see Turks and Caicos at least have to play the ball further back, they will press higher and higher up to try to win a turnover. But here comes a great opportunity along the left flank. Gold jerseys in support for Turks and Caicos to the end line. It's cut away from the danger. It'll be a corner for Turks and Caicos, but it could have been much more.
What a job from Matt Webb to backtrack there and clear that out, as it looked very similar to the position in which Turks and Caicos scored their 3 goals from.
I think that was Ben Hill, actually, who was able to knock that one away.
Excuse me.
But regardless, a lovely piece of defending. Turks and Caicos looking for a 4th that would ice this game. If you're the Marshallese technical staff, you already have to just be overjoyed with the effort that your team has put in. But now you get a real opportunity if you can hold off Turks and Caicos to go and find one more. That's a good ball put in towards the penalty spot, and it'll go out for a goal kick. It feels like at the moment you're searching for that 3rd goal.
Yeah.
I think in retrospect, even if it does end 3-2, the Marshallese will feel incredibly proud of the performance, as they should.
Absolutely.
But while you're in the game as a competitor,
it.
you are really, really pushing for that 3rd. Oh, Nigro didn't really see where the ball went until it was too late. It's played forward, good, step up. Shriver's in a little bit of space if they can find him. That's a really good track back, though, by the Turks and Caicos midfielder to win it back, but Shriver picks up the loose ball. Asks a long run out of Turanga. Harvey is going to wait this one out, and it will go out for a goal kick. That's good composure for the young keeper, Harvey.
The presence of mind from the 15-year-old there. Excellent job. 15-year-old playing for Cheshire Hall in the Turks and Caicos. Playing at the highest level when you're 15 in your home nation. It's pretty impressive for the young keeper.
Couple of substitutions here for the Marshall Islands. Seth Sidle is going to be withdrawn. What a performance he had today. Jay Accorder is going to come off as well. Into the 86th minute we go. 5 minutes plus stoppage time for the Marshall Islands to perhaps find one more. Gabino Gallegos is one of the players who has been introduced to the fold. Lloyd Owers has really wanted to make sure he gets as many players in as possible, and now here come Turks and Caicos again, marauding down the left side. Couple of Marshallese players in support. Good cut back to the edge of the 18-yard box. Squared over towards the right side. Shot is taken, parried away by Perrella. Danger still not clear. To the end line goes TNC. Clipped towards the back post, out of the reach of the initial intended target, and unable to be kept from going over the sideline. Best save of the day for Matt Perrella.
Yeah, excellent job from Perrella.
And what can the Marshall Islands make of it? Bit of a heavy touch. We'll give it back to Turks and Caicos. What a game of soccer here these two nations have contested. A FIFA nation in Turks and Caicos, and a team that has captured the eyes of the world in the Marshall Islands. Good cutback is interrupted. Blanton hustling to keep it from going over the end line. He won't quite get there in time. Time starting to run out on the Marshallese.
Yeah, 87th minute here.
Between the couple of penalty shouts, this will be a goal kick. A cooling break and plenty of substitutions. You'd imagine at least some stoppage time.
Yeah, probably four-ish minutes, maybe
yeah.
5.
Will it be enough?
If it were last year's World Cup, 9,
11,
10,
12,
11,
yeah. That was kind of
14.
That was a lot, to say the very least. That last men's World Cup.
The last men's World Cup, I should say, not last year's.
For those who are flying the Marshallese flags, of which there are several here in the crowd, hope is still there for a result that would shock the world. Nigro, being hounded, was still able to keep the ball. Advantage played correctly by the referee. And then unable to get it to the intended target was Dominic Pace. Pace trying to track back. Able to step up was Danny Razuk, who has been introduced into the game as well. Options along the right for Turks and Caicos. That's the correct ball. And now room to operate along the right channel. Perrella trying to hug the near post, and that shot goes flashing across the face of goal. Just too sharp of an angle, and it will be a goal kick. Assistant referee said corner, overruled by the head referee. Turks and Caicos still around the edge of the box, asking for the corner, but Marshall Islands take the goal kick quickly.
I couldn't tell if it took a deflection or not. From our vantage point, it looked like it just flashed across the face of the goal.
2 minutes until the 90 are up. Good header up ahead. An opportunity for Gallegos to run onto it. Gallegos trying to work in some tight quarters. Pace couldn't quite get there in time. They'll go out for a throw.
Can the Marshallese put together one last attack? There's lots of heads, lots of hands on knees here. They are feeling this heat here in the 89th minute.
Taranga going to be substituted off. The substitutions continuing to stack up here for two teams that just really need to keep their legs fresh with how much soccer has been played in such a short amount of time and such high temperatures. Switches on towards the left. It was interrupted, but it could fall for Pace. He couldn't quite keep it under his spell. Into the 90th minute we play. 5 Turks and Caicos players forward, looking for one more into the center of the park, and 2 TNC players converged. Shriver battling for it, and he touched it last. Or did he? It will be a Marshall Islands throw. Turks and Caicos can't believe it.
I think the head official's gonna overrule that one there. I think the official, the linesman, was just a little bit shielded by a couple of players there. Just wasn't able to see who it actually went out off of.
We have played 90 minutes here in Springdale, Arkansas. And so it will be up to the referee. And, you know, Turks and Caicos will not be in any sort of hurry to restart once the ball goes out of play. Any possession is good possession here if you're Turks and Caicos, who are used to playing these tight matches. All of their matches have been drawn after 90 minutes. They will feel comfortable in these kinds of situations. That's a lovely little back heel. Perrella's able to get a leg to it to keep it out of the back of the net. What a little back heel pass from Turks and Caicos, but Perrella was able to stop it.
I mean, being able to pull that out in stoppage time when it's over 90.
Now Shriver will ask a long run from Nigro, who has played all 90 minutes. Nigro got around his defender. Nigro has options towards the back post, around one player. He goes down. Referee says play on. It's still loose, and a foul caused by Nigro. And it will go the other way.
Oh, I think that one was the moment. There was definitely some contact, but referee waves it off. Oh my goodness.
Marshall Islands cannot believe it.
I'd have to see it again. It might have been a legitimate shout. There was some definite contact there. He shakes his marker on the left wing and has plenty of space. He also had pace, Dominic Pace on the far post, making a run as fast as he could.
Jonathan Kaler is going to come on in for the final moments in between the sticks for the Marshall Islands. 43-year-old keeper will get a few moments on the field here. And now there's a player down holding his lower body. And there's a Turks and Caicos player down as well. Players down for both teams as we are past the 90 minutes. The Turks and Caicos player is down and I believe out of your picture towards the Marshall Islands defending goal line. What a chance that was, though, for the Marshallese. Nigro, as soon as he sat down that first defender, you knew something special was possible. Thankfully, that Turks and Caicos player and the Marshall Islands player are both up on their feet.
What a job Nigro has done. He and Blanton have just been both excellent today. Would have loved to have seen Dave Nigro be the one to help the Marshallese equalize there.
Thankfully, everybody is back to their feet. Unfortunately, the Turks and Caicos player is hobbling off out of your picture to the side.
So looks like they'll play with 10.
They will. I believe they're out of substitution windows, by my count.
Oh wait, there was one more player hidden on the sideline here, I think.
You're correct. So there will be 11 versus 11.
Where did he come from? He was hidden.
Marshall Islands desperately trying to win the ball back. That's a lovely turn by Turks and Caicos, though, to just get into a little bit of open space in the center of the park. Options available on the right. Marshallese needing to win the ball back quickly. Navigating through a couple of defenders as Turks and Caicos. A fall back for Aaron Anitok. Long towards Nigro will be the directive when the Marshallese win the ball back. Looks as if the heat is really starting to affect some of these players. Might not be as full of running as they were at the start of the match. It's all up to the referee's watch. We really don't know how much time will be left given the stoppages that have occurred after the 90 minutes were up. Good cut across to make sure that the Marshall Islands win it back again. Again, Nigro on the move down the left side. Flag stays down for the moment. Nigro around his first defender, who's able to get back as the ball checked up. Shriver will pick it up. Shouts for man on, so he floats it into the penalty area. And Turks and Caicos will get there first. And that is the full-time whistle. A victory for Turks and Caicos, their first in regulation in the Outrigger Challenge Cup. But what a performance put in by the Marshall Islands in just their second ever match as a soccer federation. 2 goals, one from Josiah Blanton and one from the penalty spot for Aaron Anitok-Brokken, and they had real chances to get a result out of this match. It will be perhaps immediately disappointing for the Marshall Islands, but when they look back on this in an hour, in 24, in a week, in 2, they have so very, very much to be proud of.
I mean, 2 goals, one of which was a really excellent just team goal and a great finish from Josiah Blanton. I mean, nothing to hang their heads over. And, you know, Turks and Caicos, they did exactly what we thought they would do. They counterattacked. They did it 3 times perfectly in that first half. They scored 3 goals out of it, and gosh, what a match of soccer that was.
The Marshallese ought to be extraordinarily proud of what Lloyd Ower's group was able to put on the field here today, and moments that will be remembered forever in the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation as they fall 3-2 to Turks and Caicos. Final thoughts on a day in which Turks and Caicos deserves a lot of credit as well for their execution of their game plan, but of course for the Marshall Islands scoring those 2 historic goals.
I mean, they have nothing to hang their heads over. What a wonderful match, what a wonderful event, and just really exciting. So much positive to look at for the Marshallese, and you can tell this is the start of something special. They'll have to wait a little bit longer for that first ever win, but what a start for something special here.
We are not done here in Springdale, Arkansas. One more match to play. It will be the U.S. Virgin Islands against the Ozark United U19s, but we'll stick with you to take in some of the scenes of the Marshall Islands, saluting this wonderful crowd who deserves a lot of credit for sticking out some conditions that are suboptimal in terms of the heat.
Yeah.
Nothing that anyone can control here in Springdale, but what a performance it was from the Marshall Islands crowd and from the Marshall Islands squad on the field as well. And some emotional scenes, no doubt about it, as the Marshall Islands in their second ever match as a federation take a FIFA nation to the very brink. Real opportunities for the Marshall Islands, and they have done something incredibly special over the course of this week. And after a 4-0 defeat to another FIFA nation in their first match, a 3-2 scoreline in the second, and they will take all of the support from the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation fans. What a day it was for the Marshallese as a nation, as a federation, as a team that has so very much to be proud of here in this match. We will end the afternoon here, but not end the evening here in Springdale, Arkansas. USVI and the Ozark United U19s are coming up in just an hour from now. It'll be 4 o'clock local time, but pretty much exactly an hour from now will be kickoff. We'll be on the air in 45 minutes time to break down that one and perhaps take a look back at this one as well. An historic day in Springdale, Arkansas, as the Marshall Islands score their first ever goals as a federation. But it's Turks and Caicos who pick up the win 3-2.